ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। नमः श्री शंकरानंद नमः श्री शंकरानंद गुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने गुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने सविलास महामोह सविलास महामोह ग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे ग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे।
Here the author is telling us that the purpose of the Upanishad teaching is that we focus our attention on the self from the non-self. That when we think that the happiness is coming from the objects, in fact it doesn't come from the objects, it comes from the self. Or when we think that we love the objects of the world, we love things, beings, people, objects of the world, it is not that we love them for the sake of those things, we love them for the sake of the self. And therefore, always, knowingly or unknowingly, who is the object of my focus of my love, or locus of my love is the self. So even when I think that I love a particular house or a car or a person, it is not for the sake of that house, car or person, it is for the sake of the self that I love anything. This being the case, it is necessary to constantly discriminate and constantly focus one's attention on the self. Because that's the principal one. Therefore, the one who really counts in our life is the self. All the non-self, all the objects are for the sake of the self and not the other way around. So whatever there is in the world is for the sake of the self. And therefore, our attention should be on the one for whose sake everything is, and that is the self. And so, how to do now? How to contemplate upon the nature of the self? How to appreciate the true nature of the self? First, the attention is pointed out to our experiences of the three states: the waking, the dream, and the deep sleep. Now, the one who gains experiences in waking state is the very same one who also gains experiences in the dream state. One who is a waker now alone becomes a dreamer in the dream, and the same one also becomes a sleeper in the deep sleep state. And so, the one experiencing all these different states is one alone, whereas the objects of experience are constantly changing. So when I am a waker, when I am in the waking state, I experience all these gross objects of the world, and then when I pass on to the dream state, all the objects remain where they were, namely in the waking state, and then in the dream state, I experience altogether a whole new range of objects which are created by my own mind, which are the subtle objects. And then when I pass into the deep sleep state, then when those objects remain where they were, namely in the subtle world, in the deep sleep, I experience an absence of everything. I experience happiness, which only belongs to the deep sleep state. Again, when I come to waking, I am altogether in a new world. And thus, waking, dream, and deep sleep, these are the experiences that we go through every day in our life, and the objects that we experience in those respective states remain only in those states, whereas I pass from one state to the other. That shows that I am unconnected to everything. Had I been connected to the waking state, then along with me, a part of the waking experience also should come, but that does not happen. It all remains here. Meaning I am able to discard them at will. Like an actor who can discard one costume and can put on another costume and take another role. And similarly also, I am able to wear the costume and of this gross body and experience what we call the waking world. Then I discard that costume and enter into another role called the dream world. I discard that also, enter into yet another experience called the deep sleep experience. That shows that I, the self, is asangaha. And who am I? Merely a sakshi or a witness. So what's the nature of self? Self is the entity who experiences waking, dream and deep sleep states. And who is that entity? That is common to all the three states. The waker, what is common between the waker, the dreamer and the deep sleeper? What is common? The gross body is not there in the waking, in the dream or the deep sleep state, and therefore I cannot call it the self. If this body were the self, then I should experience it in the dream state also, in the deep sleep state also. I don't experience it. That shows that the body is not the self, otherwise I would always remain conscious of it. Even the mind also cannot be called self, because even the mind also does not have entry in the deep sleep state. Even the mind is not functioning. And therefore, the body, the senses, the mind, I am unattached to them, unassociated with them. I am merely the witness of the man. In this manner, this is called the Anvaya Vyatireka, the method of agreement and disagreement. That when the waking state is, I am. But in the dream state, I am, but the waking state is not. So, when the waking state is, I am. When the dream state is, I am. In the dream, I am there, but waking is not there. That shows that this waking world I am not. In the deep sleep, I am there, but the dream is not there. That shows that the dream I am not. And thus by this constant analysis, we find that the self is nothing but a witness who is unconnected or unrelated. This is how you can find Sakshini Asangata Adhyasiyate. This is how we come to this ascertainment. We come to this ascertained knowledge that I cannot but be the witness. I cannot but be the witness of everything, who is unconnected, unrelated to everything. I do seem to pass through various experiences, but I am connected with none of them. All of those are like the costumes of an actor. Just as an actor is unconnected to the role he is playing, unconnected to the costume that he is wearing. And that's the reason why, at will, the actor can discard the costume. At will, he can change the role. And similarly also, I am able to discard at will the costume of the waking state, the costume of the dream state. I am at will able to pass from one state to the other. That shows that asangaha, I am unconnected, unrelated. And this is how we come to this ascertained knowledge about the self. And in the different verses now, the same nature of the knowledge of the self, which is described in different Upanishads, is being presented here. We saw the verse 213. It says, Jagrat Swapna Sushuptyadi Prapancham Yat Prakashade Tad Brahmaha Mirignatva Sarvabandhai Pramuchyade. This is what Kaivalya Upanishad says. That when one discovers as to who am I am that Brahman, I am the limitless, the awareness. That awareness I am. Which awareness that is? Jagrat Swapna Sushuptyadi Prapancham. The Jagrat, waking, Swapna, the dream, Sushupti, the deep sleep. The one that illumines all the three states, the waking, dream and deep sleep states. That illuminating consciousness I am. That's the only common element. That's the only persistent or constant element in all the three states. Everything else in the waking dream, everything else changes. The one thing that remains persistent or constant is the witness consciousness. The consciousness that witnesses the waking state, the same consciousness that witnesses the dream state, the same consciousness that witnesses deep sleep state, and that consciousness I am. When this ascertainment comes, and that consciousness alone is called Brahman, the limitless, because consciousness does not have any size or any shape or any boundary at all. So consciousness or awareness is boundless. All the boundaries are in awareness. Awareness itself has no boundary. So that which is free from all the boundary, meaning free from all sense of limitation, alone is Brahman. So Brahman, the witnessing consciousness, that is what I am. Tad Brahmaham Irignatva, thus knowing the self. Knowing the self as Brahman, meaning the limitless, which is the witness consciousness. When I see the fact that I am that, sarvabandhaihi pramuchyate. One gets free from all the bandha, all the bondage. So one becomes free from all the bondage when one realizes this, that who am I? I am the witness consciousness, which is without any boundary, without any bondage. How do I get free from all the bondage? Because all I become free from is what? The notions of doer and the enjoyer. So kartrutva, bhoktrutva, all of these are the notions that I entertain about myself. That I am a karta, a doer of an action. Bhokta, the enjoyer. So whenever I take myself to be a doer or an enjoyer, then I feel always a sense of limitation. Because the moment I look upon myself as an agent of action, I see all various limitations in me. I can only do a given thing at a given time in a given place, and so this doer is limited in every way. When I look upon myself as an experiencer or an enjoyer, then also I find myself limited in every way. Because what can I experience? Whatever my sense organs can present within the limited range. As a doer, as an enjoyer, I find myself a limited being. When I discover that I am not the doer, I am not the enjoyer, I am merely the witness awareness, then I become free from these notions of doership, enjoyership, and that is called freedom. Sarvabandhaihi, that is really the bondage. So bondage is nothing but this notion that I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, from which all the other various notions come. I am happy, I am unhappy, I am good, I am bad, I am right, I am wrong. All the various notions, all of them are on account of taking myself to the body or the mind. And when I discover myself to be different from them, the body I am not, the mind I am not, I am just the witness of the body, I am the witness of the mind, I am the illuminator of them. When I see this fact, I become free from all the various complexes that were generated on account of taking the self to the body. Now the same trend discussion and the same trend is continued, says in the verse 214. एक एवात्मा मंतव्यः एक एवात्मा मंतव्यः जाग्रत् स्वप्न सुषुप्तिषु जाग्रत् स्वप्न सुषुप्तिषु स्थानत्रयव्यतीतस्य पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते. Says Jagrat Swapna Sushuptishu Ekah eva Atma Mantavyah. One must see this fact that Jagrat Swapna Sushuptishu, in the waking, dream and deep sleep state, how many eyes are there? How many self is there? The self who is a waker or the experiencer of waking state is the same self which experiences the dream state, is the same self that experiences the deep sleep state, isn't it? It's not the fellow who is awake and the person who goes to dream is a different person, and the fellow who is asleep is a third person, and the fellow who wakes up is a fourth person. No. The one who was awake alone was dreaming and alone is sleeping. This we know from our own recollection. When I wake up in the morning, I recollect this fact that I went to bed last night, then I dreamt all these things, and then I am the one who also experienced the deep sleep. And so when I woke up in the morning, I was all rejuvenated, all fresh. So this is how we recollect. So ekah eva atma mantavyah, that in Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, in the waking, dream and deep sleep, in all these states, Atma or the self is one alone, not many. Now when I say that there is only one self in the waking, dream and deep sleep, then what can be the nature of that self? That which is common between the waker, the dreamer. So the one who is waker alone is a dreamer, that alone is a deep sleeper. Because the one who is awake alone goes to dream and he alone goes to a deep sleep. So the waker alone is a dreamer and that alone is a deep sleeper. In that case, what is the common element? It is like an actor who wears different costumes and assumes different roles. As I said, in one, sometime he may act as a beggar, some other time he may act as a king, some third time he may act as a rich man. And who is the one who is common to all these roles? The costumes are varying, but the one who wears the costume is common. And similarly also, I am the one who is now the waker, then the dreamer, then the deep sleeper. And so this waker, dreamer, deep sleeper are the different roles that I am playing. What is common to all the roles? Only I. That alone is common. Because where the waker is not there in the dreamer, and dreamer is not there in the deep sleep, and all there is I. I without any qualifications. I without any attributes at all, that I alone is common. And that is my nature. This waker I am not. The dreamer I am not. The deep sleeper also I am not. Waker is the role that I am playing on account of the costume of this gross body. The dreamer is another role I am playing with reference to the costume of the subtle body. And the sleeper I am, that's the third role I am playing with reference to what they call the causal body. But then, is on account of the costume that I am wearing that I assume different roles. But who am I? Without any role, without any costume. Plain and simple I. And what's the nature of that I? I that ever persists. I that never diminishes. I that is ever awake. I that is ever shining. That I alone is awareness. That alone is called Chit. And since that awareness never diminishes, it ever exists, therefore it is called Sat. And therefore, I am Sat, I am Chit. I am existence, I am awareness. And that alone is the connecting link between all the three states. Like a thread that informs the different flowers in a garland. So where one flower is, the other flower is not, where the second is, the third is not. Just as the thread is the one that informs them all, and so also that one plain and simple I, which is Sat and Chit, or existence and awareness, is that which informs all the three states. And that is my nature. Jagradadishu avasthasu ekaheva atma mantavyah sthanatraya vyatitasya punarjanmana vidyate evam viveka jnanena sthanatraya vyatitasya avasthatrayat viviktasya atmanah. So, as we said, I am not waker. Waker is not apart from me, but I am not just a waker. You see, when that actor assumes the role of a beggar or a king, then we say that actor is not the beggar, even though beggar is not apart from the actor. Actor is not the beggar. Or when the actor assumes the role of a king, we say that actor is not the king, even though king is not apart from the actor. Actor is not the king. And similarly also, even though the waker is on account of I am not confined to the waker or the dreamer or the deep sleeper. Who am I? I am distinct from all these three. I am distinct from the waking state, I am distinct from the dream state, I am distinct from the deep sleep states. Sthanatraya vyatitasya, and therefore I am not confined to any of these states. Sthana means from all these different states, I am distinct from all the states. That's the reason why at will, it's like the three cities. That's the reason why very often the three states are compared to three cities. The waking is one city, dream is another city, deep sleep is third city. Waking is called golden city, dream is called silver city, deep sleep is called the iron city. So it's gold because it is shining. And so waking state is all shining, so it is called gold city. Dream is called silver city. And deep sleep is all dark, tamas, therefore it is called iron city. And there is a story also, by the way, of Lord Shiva, as to how there was one demon who could at will go from one, or there were in fact supposed to be three demons. Each one of them had an independent, rocket or a flying city. See, all these kind of stories are to be found in the mythological structures of India. That these demons, each one of them, these three brothers, each one of them had a city of his own. One fellow had a golden city, other fellow had a silver city, third fellow had an iron city. And they could fly at will, and nobody could destroy them. The only time you could destroy them is when, once in 1,000 years, when they come in alignment. At that time, if somebody can shoot one arrow and penetrate all the three in one stroke, then alone these three fellows could be killed. This is a story. And so, these demons were called Tripura. Tripura means three puris or three cities. And so this demon was called Tripura Asura. And so only when these three cities could come in alignment, and that happened once in 1,000 years, just for a moment, and you wait for that moment. And then There must be someone powerful enough to be able to strike an arrow which can penetrate all the three cities in one stroke. Nobody could do this, so they requested Lord Shiva. And thus Lord Shiva had a big retinue, big paraphernalia. He ordered the earth to become the chariot. He ordered the sun and moon to become the wheels. He ordered the Creator to become the charioteer. He ordered Lord Vishnu to become the arrow, and things like that. He ordered Sheshanaga to become the string. And with this kind of an equipment, when at one point all the three cities were in alignment, he shot the arrow, and the arrow pierced, and that is how the demon was supposed to be killed. Therefore, Lord Shiva is called Tripura Asura. Tripurari, meaning one who is the enemy of the demon Tripura. But that story shows, in fact, this ego. Ego is a big demon, and he has three cities: the waking, the dream, and the deep sleep. At will, the fellow goes from one to the other. So if one can penetrate this in one stroke and recognize that the waker, the dreamer, the deep sleeper, all are false, and the true one is only the awareness or the self, which is unqualified, which is purely in the nature of Sat or Chit existence and awareness, that's the only truth. And that this waking, dream and deep sleep are merely like the three cities from which this ahankara is passing from at will. When one sees this fact, meaning recognizes the falsehood of the ahankara, when that ignorance goes, and then one recognizes the true nature. And this is comparable to killing that Tripurasura. Who is Tripurasura? The ahankara, the sense of individual, the ego. And he gets pierced or penetrated by the arrow of knowledge. So, sthanatre vyatitasya. It's very simple that when I go from one city to the other, I am not the city. So, waking is one city, I pass to another city called the dream, a third city called the deep sleep. That shows that I am a traveler who is unconnected to these cities. And I am sthanatre vyatitasya. I am the one who is different from all the three sthana or all the three states. When I come to know the nature of myself as pure Sat and Chit or existence and awareness, punarjanmana vidyate, there is no rebirth. One doesn't have to be born again. Otherwise, birth is certain. If at the end of days, when this body drops off, if still I am an ignorant person, and therefore still all these desires remain in me, still my desires are not satiated, and such a dissatisfied person gives up this body, definitely he has to take another body in order to fulfill all the remaining. Until all my desires are fulfilled. And what is my desire? My desire is to be limitless. And until that desire gets fulfilled, my journey will continue. That janma, or this whole process of birth and death will continue. And when can I discover the limitlessness? When I discover that I, the self itself, is limitless. And so by this knowledge that I am limitless, all my desires are satisfied in one stroke, and there is no desire at all, and therefore no punarjanma or the rebirth. The idea is that by this knowledge of the self, one becomes free from the sense of limitation, the sense of bondage, and therefore all the desires. And that liberation alone is described as punarjanmana vidyate. There is no rebirth for this person, meaning there is no embodiment, meaning one does no more have to experience the sense of limitation which this embodiment brings about. Etat sharirapatanantaram sharirantara praptihi nasti ityartha, meaning after the fall of this body, one doesn't have to take up another body. Again, the same idea is conveyed in the verse 215. This verse also comes from Kaivalya Upanishad. The 214 verse came from an Upanishad called Brahma Upanishad or Atma Bindu Upanishad. This one comes from Kaivalya Upanishad. Trishudhamasu yad bhogyam bhokta bhogascha yad bhaved bhokta bhogascha yad bhaved tebhyo vilakshanas sakshi chinmatroham sada shivah chinmatroham sada shivah. Trishu dhamasu yad bhogyam bhokta bhogasya yad bhavet. Trishu dhamasu, another dhama, dhama means abode. In these three abodes, in these three cities or in these three states, namely waking, dream and deep sleep, Trishu dhamasu, Trishu avasthaneshu, yad bhogyam bhokta bhogasya bhavet. See, every experience is characterized by this triad of the Tripudi. The experiencer, the object of experience, and the process of experiencing. The seer, the seen, and the seeing. The knower, the known, and the knowing. And thus, every communication involves, every experience involves these three factors. The enjoyer, the experiencer, that is called bhokta. The object of experience called bhogya. And the transaction between the experiencer and what is experienced called experience, and that is called bhoga. Bhokta, bhogya, and bhoga. Bhokta, the experiencer, bhoga, the object of experience, and bhogya, and bhoga, the actual experience. These three, in fact, constitutes our world. What is our world? What is the total range of our world? Is nothing but these three. The experiencer, the object of experience, and the experience. That's all. When this three is included, the whole realm of existence. So the question is, in all these three states, what is the object of experience? Bhogyam, sthula, pravivikta, ananda swarupam. As Mandukya Upanishad describes, what is the nature of the objects that we experience in the waking state? Sthula, or the gross objects. What is meant by gross? Gross means those which are objectified by the organs of perception. And so the Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, the sound and the touch and all these objects that we experience are called gross objects. Waking state, we experience all the gross objects. And the experiencer is called Vishwa, or the waker. In the dream state, we don't experience these gross objects, we experience a different kind of objects. And that is what? The subtle objects projected by our mind. So they are called Sukshma. Sukshma means the subtle objects. And the one who experiences them is called Tejasa, or the dreamer. And then in the deep sleep, what do we experience? Ananda, or happiness. In the deep sleep, each one experiences happiness. And the one who experiences that happiness in deep sleep is called Prajna, or the sleeper. So three kinds of objects are there: waking, dream and deep sleep, three states; gross, subtle and causal, or the ananda, the three kinds of objects. And then three enjoy experiencers are there: waker, dreamer and deep sleeper, or Vishwa, Tejasa and Prajna. And threefold experiences are there: waking, dream and deep sleep. So understand that there are three states. In every state, there are a series of experiences. Every experience involves three factors: the experiencer, the experienced, and the experience. Bhokta, bhogya, and bhoga. The waker, the gross objects, and the waking. The dreamer, dream objects, and dreaming. The sleeper, the sleep object, namely ananda or happiness, and sleeping. So this is a description of the three states. So yascha bhokta vishvatejasa prajna rupaha yascha bhogaha tat anubhava rupaschayati ye vidyante tebhya sthanadibhya vilakshanaha. Who am I? I am the one who is different from all these three. See the waking state, for example. Who am I? I think that I am a waker. And what do I experience? The gross objects. And what's the nature of experience? Called waking. But who is that I? That I is different from the waker, the objects, as well as the waking. The I is different from the experiencer, the object of experience, and the experiencing. Because that is the I that goes to the dream. And there again, I am different from the dreamer, the dream objects, and the dreaming. Because the same I goes to the deep sleep. And there again, I am different from the sleeper, the object of sleep, namely Ananda, and the sleeping. So I is different from all these three. So Trishu Dhamsu Yad Bhogyam, that which is object of experience, Bhokta the experiencer and Bhoga the very experiencing. Tebhya vilakshanaha. The I is distinct from all these three. Who am I? Sakshi, or the witness. Chinmatra rupaha. I am of the nature of just witness awareness. As you said, he is called Sakshi. Chinmatroham Sadashivaha. Chinmatraha, meaning purely chit or awareness. I am that awareness which is a witness of all these three in the waking, three factors, in the waking, in the dream, in the deep sleep state. That Chinmatraha, all the nature of pure awareness I am. Who am I? Sadashivaha. I am Sadashivaha. Sada Shiva means what? Niratisha Ananda Rupatvena Sarvada Shobhamanaha. Shiva is Shobhamanaha. That which is beautiful, that which is shining, or that which is effulgent. So I am the effulgent self, ever beautiful, ever shining, because Niratisha Ananda Rupatvena. What is the nature of that I? Ananda meaning happiness, Niratisha Ananda, unsurpassable or limitless happiness, that boundless happiness, which is awareness, that is what I am, and that alone is called Sadashiva. So Lord is called Shiva or Sadashiva, because Sada means ever auspicious, ever of the nature of joy, ever of the nature of happiness, and therefore ever shining, ever beautiful. So ever shining, ever beautiful, ever joy or ever happiness I am of the nature of awareness, distinct from the waking, dream and the deep sleep worlds. Sohmanaha Paramatmasti Sohamasmityartha. Thus one should constantly deliberate upon the self. So these mantras are very beautiful, quoted from the Upanishads, where one can just sit and meditate or contemplate. If you have to meditate upon what can you meditate? Alright, this is one thing. Who am I? Am I the one who is awake and thinking? I cannot be the thinker, because if I am the thinker, I should always be thinking. But when I am asleep, I am not thinking. That shows that thinker also I am not. Am I a man or a woman? I cannot say that, because in deep sleep, I don't have the awareness that I am a man or a woman. I am not aware of the gross body. Therefore I cannot be the body, I cannot be the mind. Who am I? I am that awareness that informs all the three states. And what's the nature of that awareness? That never diminishes, that ever remains, that ever exists. So awareness, that is of the nature of existence. What's the limitation? What's the form of this awareness or existence? It doesn't have any form, doesn't have any boundary at all, and therefore it is boundless. Meaning, it is complete, it is full. So existence, awareness, fullness, I am. This is the way one should constantly do anusandhanam, constantly deliberate upon the nature of the self. This is what one has to do in order to make firm the distinction that really obtains between the self and the non-self. This is the way that we can abide in the knowledge that I is distinct from this body, mind or intellect. I is distinct from the waking, dream, the deep sleep. I am the one who is awareness, existence, witness. Evam vivekena atmatattve asange nischite sadi bhoktritvam kaschaityadaha. Then therefore, what is atmatattva? What's the nature of the self? Asangaha, unconnected, unrelated, changeless, nirvikaraha. Nischite sadi, when that nischaya or that ascertainment comes, bhoktritvam kasya, therefore that I which is Sadashivaha, which is of the nature of existence, awareness, fullness, which is changeless, which ever persists, he cannot be called bhokta, the enjoyer, as we said, because enjoyer or experiencer is the one who constantly undergoes change. And therefore, that I or the self cannot be experiencer. Then who is the experiencer? Well, the second fellow is left out. Who is he? Chidabhasaha, or what we call the ego. So experiencer can be called the ego. But what's the content of ego, namely the awareness? That cannot be the experiencer. The ego, the Chidabhasa can be called experiencer, alright, but not the I. This is what that ascertained knowledge comes. And that's what is said in the verse 216. Evam vivechite tattve एवं विवेचिते तत्त्वे विज्ञानमय शब्दितः विज्ञानमय शब्दितः चिदाभासो विकारीयः चिदाभासो विकारीयः भोक्तृत्वं तस्य शिष्यते भोक्तृत्वं तस्य शिष्यते। एवं विवेचिते तत्त्वे, in this manner tattve vivechite, vivechanam meaning viveka, thus constantly discriminating, separating between the separation of the self and the non-self. Thus constantly one has to dwell upon this, and one has to see this fact or the distinction between the self and the non-self. One has to distinctly see this fact that the body, the mind, the intellect is a non-self, and the self, the I, is just a witness. Iti evam vivechite tattve, when tattva, the truth about the self, is thus discriminated constantly. Vijnanamaya shabditaha yaha chidabhasaha vikari tasya bhoktritvam shishyate. Then, since this self is non-nirvikara or non-changeless, therefore he cannot be experiencer or enjoyer, and therefore who is the enjoyer? Chidabhasaha, vijnanamaya shabditaha. The self that is identified with Vijnanam, identified with the intellect. So who is the ego? Ego is nothing but the self identified with the intellect. Calling intellect as a self. Intellect is further identified with the mind. Mind is further identified with the senses. Senses are further identified with the body. Body is further identified with the possessions. And that is how the self gets identified with all these things because of the first identification with the intellect. Self of the Atma first gets reflected in the intellect and gets identified with the intellect, calls the intellect as I. That is where the I notion or the ahankara, the sense of individuality is. Where is it? In the intellect. Therefore, he is called Vijnanamaya, meaning one who is identified with Vijnana or the intellect, or one who is reflected in the intellect. He is called Vijnanamaya or Chidabhasa, reflected consciousness, also called ego or the I notion. He is vikari. He constantly undergoes change because his buddhi, when it is reflected, constantly changes. And therefore, the reflection will change depending upon the reflecting medium. So what will be the nature of my reflection? That will depend upon the nature of the mirror. If I stand before a concave mirror, my reflection will be of one kind. If I stand before a convex mirror, my reflection will be of a different kind. In one I look very fat and chubby, other one I look very tall, and just lean. So depending upon the nature of the mirror, the reflection appears to be different. And similarly also, as my buddhi or the intellect undergoes variety of moods and variety of changes, so also the reflected consciousness constantly changes, and therefore that Chidabhasa is a vikari or subject to change. Yo vijnanamaya vijnan shabdena abhidiyamana chidabhasa tasya vikaritvat bhoktritvam ityartha. And therefore, who is a bhokta, who is experiencer or enjoyer? Not the true self, who is sat and chit, existence awareness, but who is the enjoyer? The chidabhasa, the reflected consciousness, which is what we call ego, or the one who has a sense of limited individuality. He is bhokta. This is what our ascertained knowledge becomes. That the ego is a bhokta, ego is the enjoyer and not the I. Nanu chidabhasasya bhoktritva angikare kasya kama iti vachah bhoktru abhava vakshaya iti purvoktam vyahanyeta. Earlier you said that there is no enjoyer at all, there is no bhokta. And now you say that Atma is not the bhokta, but Chidabhasa or the ego is the bhokta. Then why did you earlier say there is no bhokta or the enjoyer at all? So earlier you said in the verse that bhoktru abhava, that when the Shruti says kasya kamaya, for the enjoyment of whom, when that is said, the intention there is that there is no enjoyer at all. So earlier you explained to us that the purpose of the statement of Shruti, for whose enjoyment was in fact to deny the very enjoyer. And now you are saying that the Chidabhasa or the ego is the enjoyer. Then you seem to be contradicting your own statement. It says, tasya vachanasya parmarthika bhoktra bhava paratvam vipretya. The author says what we said is, There is no bhokta or enjoyer in a real sense. There is some kind of an enjoyer. There is some kind of an experiencer. And who is the experiencer? That experiencer is a notion. So that is a notional experiencer. That's why it's called Chidabhasa. Tasya vachanasya paramarthika bhoktur abhava paratvam abhipretya. That what we meant is, in a paramarthika or the real sense or the absolute sense, there is no experiencer. Because there is no individual. All there is in the reality is the self, which has no sense of individuality at all, which is free from any sense of individuality. And therefore this individual himself is false. And so one who calls oneself an individual, he brands himself as enjoyer, as experiencer, as happy, as unhappy and whatever, but that is only an abhasa or an appearance. So what we are saying is that experiencer that we seem to experience is an appearance and not the reality. Bhoktuhu chidabhasasya mithyatum sadhayati. And so the next verse shows how that chidabhasa with a bhokta is mithya, is unreal. So that sense of individuality of the doer or the enjoyer is unreal. How is it so? That is being said in the verse 217. Mayikoyam chidabhasah Mayikoyam chidabhasah Shruteranubhavadapi Shruteranubhavadapi Indrajalam jagat proktam Indrajalam jagat proktam Tadantah patyayam yatah Tadantah patyayam yatah Mayikoyam chidabhasah Ayam chidabhasa mayikah mrushatmakah Shrutehe jiveshau abhasena karoti iti shrutehe. Says the Upanishad says, or the scripture says that this jiva or this individual is mayikah, is a product of maya. Mrushatmakah, there is no reality about him. What is the reality of the sense of individual? Is nothing but the kind of reality that a reflection has. Even though in a mirror you see a reflection, which appears to be a real person. But in fact, there is no real person there, it is just an appearance of person. And similarly also, I, the individual being, appears to be really there. I think that really I am an ego, I am happy, I am unhappy, I am doer, I am enjoyer, that's what I think I really am. But I am only looking at reflection and evaluating myself. If I happen to look at myself in a concave mirror and find myself a fat entity and then conclude that I have become fat and start dieting. Or you look at yourself in a convex mirror and see yourself as a lean, tall fellow and you think that you become so slim and you start, putting on weight and stuff like that. That should not be, because what appears in the reflection mirror is only an appearance. It is not a true entity. And so also when I say that I am a doer, I am an enjoyer, I am happy or I am unhappy, how these conclusions have come? That doership, enjoyership, happiness, unhappiness, all of these are nothing but states of mind. And every state of mind reflects the consciousness, the self. And therefore what I am looking at is my reflection, or the reflected consciousness. And then, not knowing that it is false or a reflection, I brand myself as a doer, or an enjoyer, or happy or unhappy. So this doer, or this enjoyer, is a false entity. That's what earlier was discussed. Jiveshu abhasena karoti. This very maya only creates the appearance of Jiva and Ishvara. The individual as well as the Lord, both of these are the concepts created by maya. And so in fact, what we call the Jiva or the individual is a product of maya, is an appearance and therefore is false. Mrushatmakah. Anubhavadapi drashtradi tritaya madhyavartitvena anubhuyamanattvadapi ityartha. And by experience also I know that this enjoyer is a false entity. Because if I were an enjoyer or an experiencer, as I said, or a limited ego, I should always have that sense of individuality, which will be said in the next verse, that I don't have that. And therefore, there is nothing consistent about me. Whatever is the truth about me must be consistent. When we say that honey is sweet, then honey is consistently sweet. In the morning also it is sweet, afternoon also sweet, evening also sweet, today also sweet, and tomorrow also sweet. Then we say that sweetness is the nature of honey. We say light is, brightness is the nature of sun. Heat is the nature of fire. Because fire is consistently hot wherever it is. Sun is consistently bright whenever it is. What can I say about me that is consistent? There is nothing that I can say about me is consistent. Oh Swami, I am happy. Oh, that just requires one moment. Next moment you say something to that person, unhappy. I am doing something for a moment. Next moment I am experiencing something, I become an enjoyer. There is nothing about me that is consistent. What can I call my nature? Nature is that which must be consistent. What is consistent about me? All I can say is, I am. That's what you can say. Nothing else is consistent. I am happy, I am unhappy, I am good, I am bad, I am... The Sat and Chit is the only consistent thing about me. And that alone should be called my nature. And so, Anubhavadapi, even from when I evaluate my experience, I realize that this whole waking creation, which consists of the three factors, Bhokta, Bhogya and Bhoga, the experiencer, the object of experience and the experience, all these three are false, because all of these are part of this creation which is Maya or false. How Indrajalam Jagat Proktam Tadev Upapadayati shows by logic. Indrajalam Jagat Proktam Indrajalavat Mithyabhute Jagadi Antarbhutatvat Asyavi Mithyatvam. So this has been discussed any number of times in the past, that the whole creation is Indrajalavat Mithyabhutam. Whole universe is like the magic show, or like the creation of a magician. So how the creation of a magician, to those who do not know that it is magic, or to those who are under the spell of magic, appears to be real. And so also those who are ignorant, meaning under the spell of Maya, and do not know the secret of the nature of creation, believe that this creation is real, tangible, solid, absolute. Only when you start analyzing the nature of any object in the creation that you find out that every object reveals itself to be something else. And when you further penetrate, it reveals itself to something else, and something else, and something else. And thus, whole universe ultimately turns out to be nothing but Mayakam, or comparable to the creation of a magician. That is not the experience of you and I, but Anubhuyate, Vidvadbhi. That is for the wise. So wise who have penetrated this Maya or the magic. So those who know the true nature, those who are not merely deceived by the appearance, those whose perception is not confined merely to the surface, but those who can penetrate beyond the surface and see the nature of the thing, they realize that this whole universe is an appearance. Is something else that appears to be the universe. They say the fourth dimensional reality. Even the scientists also know that the universe is an appearance, is a projection. Projection of what? What Einstein would call a reality of four-dimensional reality. What we perceive are three dimensions. And he talks about a four-dimensional or n-dimensional now they are talking about. So what we perceive is a projection of something else. This is clear even to the scientists. And therefore, this whole universe is what? Projection. That's why it is called Mayakam, meaning created by Maya, because like a shadow. Yasmad jagadantah padi ityatah mrushayati yojana. And therefore, whatever is there in this creation is mrusha, or is a projection, is unreal. The experiencer also is a part of this creation, projection, and therefore he is also unreal. Of course, what is experience is creation, that is unreal. Experience also, the object of experience, the experience and the experiencer, all of these three fall in the realm of creation, and as much as the whole creation is mithya or false, therefore the experiencer also is false. This is what is experienced also. By whom? By the wise. So wise people appreciate this fact that even the experiencer also is false. And of course, the Shruti of the Upanishad says that this whole creation, the experiencer, even the creator, all of these are nothing but the projections of Maya or the creative power. Okay. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।